Hey guys, hope you like that super duper fancy intro part, assuming it worked right. Just thought I'd spice it up a little bit and introduce you to my MERN stack masterclass is what I'm calling it. Basically, what we're going to do is we're going to build an entire deployable uh, web application on the web, not mobile, that's different. Um, and it's going to be functional and it's going to run on a server that we build to a database that we set up. Um, and this video here, we're just going to do, or I'm just going to do like a quick, not quick, but a relatively quick intro video in which I'm calling the setup and where I kind of go over the basics. you know, um, we set up what we're going to need so that the next video we could just dive right in and start coding and creating our server and the back end and all that. Uh, so real quick, I just wanted to go over, since this is a MERN masterclass, I don't want to disappoint anybody. The MERN stack is, I just typed this up in Word because I'm using Windows 10. MERN is M is for MongoDB, which is the database that we're going to use, and I'll show you how to do all that. I'm going to be using MongoDB locally, um, and you can use either or. Um, I'm going to show you how to set up a Mongo database Atlas account, which is what you need in order to store your JSON data. Um, so MongoDB, we're going to be using JSON, like I said, which is pretty standard with this. You can also use, like I said, MongoDB locally on your machine, which I find sometimes works a little bit better. Sometimes when I use the website or the actual live online MongoDB database, sometimes I get connection errors just with my connection or whatever. So I prefer to use a local, but you can use whichever works best for you. In terms of setting up your local MongoDB database environment, I will include a link in the description to a article or a blog that is very straightforward and can help you get it set up. I'm not going to go over that, but I am going to be using it. But I will show you how to incorporate the MongoDB database connection string that you need for your project. Next, the E part in MERN is for Express, which is a Node uh, package called Express.js. It's basically just a really quick and convenient and compact way to create routes for your MERN stack app. A route to get the information, a route to get all the information, a route to post, delete, put, etc. It's just a really to type it all out in Node can certainly be done, obviously, but this just makes it a little bit more convenient and compact. And of course, R in the MERN is React. It's basically a component-based, sorry, this should be based, front-end way of structuring your web applications, aka a framework. Um, and I assume if you're watching this merge stack, you're somewhat familiar with React, but I'm going to pretend that you're not. So we're going to start from scratch, do a create React app um, situation, and we're going to build our components. There won't be too many. This is a pretty basic app, but it will work, and you'll be able to go on the front end and everything, and create a form, and we'll create a way to see uh, all of our information that we've entered and whatever. And of course, the last one, N for Node, which is the backend language that does the back and forth talking to the server for data. So we are going to create, I'm sorry, this should not be server, this is database. So back and forth to the data. So basically, we're going to create a server that goes out and gets the um, the information from the database and presents it. And then through React, it will have basically a live reload, meaning that once something is added to the database, React will display it, Node will get it from the back end, and then we'll be good. All right, so let's do the setup. So the very first thing you need to do is go to nodejs.org, or just Google Node.js and download the latest stable version, and then open it. And it's a simple installer. You open it, a window comes up, you click next, you click next, you click next, and then you hit install, and then you're all set to go. Um, that's it for that. And then you can just even from that, you can just do, like, you come to your command prompt and type node, and then you can do JavaScript in your command line. So you could say 1 plus 1 is 2. You can say 3 triple equals 3, which is true. You can say 2 triple equals 88, which is false. You could do const variables. You could do x equals 1, right? And you could do x plus x is 2. So you could do, whatever you want in here once you have Node installed. Next, uh, and by the way, I'll show you real quick. When you install Node, you also get the uh, Node Package Manager, which is what we're going to use to install all of our dependencies. On the back end, we're going to need a few. Um, Obviously Express, since it's in the MERN stack language. Then on the front end, we'll need not too many. I haven't gotten to that part yet, but we won't need too many either. So anyway, so it comes with that. Next thing we're gonna do is you can just Google MongoDB, whoops, DB, and then you're gonna have MongoDB Atlas, which it used to be, what the heck was it? MLab, which was like a specific dev environment, but then there was some merger and that went away or whatever. Um, I already have an account, so you're going to create an account. I think it's this one. Yeah, I think it's this one. So it's going to log in. Uh, hmm. Oh, yeah. So here we are. This is a database that I created previously. So when you create an account, it's basically just like creating an email account, and then you do that. And then at the bottom, uh, when you're creating the account, you'll go through a form and you'll pick, your situation. You'll fill out the form, and then at the bottom it'll say uh, cluster name, and then that will be this. This is one I created before. It's just the name of your cluster of your database, basically. Um, and then once you click that, it should take like it'll take like maybe 5, 10, maybe even 15 minutes to create. It does take a little bit of time, which is why I didn't do it on this video. But it'll create. It's pretty self-explanatory, the process. And then so then you'll come to this screen, and this is the name of your database. So in order to connect with our account, we're not going to connect right now. So we're going to click this connect button, and then you're going to click connect to your application, and then here's your string, okay? And then you'll hit copy. And actually, I think I'll get, you know what? I'll get to that later when we actually add the connection string, because you're going to need to add a user to this database. Not your user account for MongoDB Atlas, but a user for this thing. So see here, my username is webguy, and then your password, you would also create a password which you would fill in here. So I'll get to that later. So we're using MongoDB Atlas or local. Here's the website on how to set up MongoDB locally. It's pretty straightforward. Just follow it. And then so we've got Node installed. Let me check my notes here. I hope you don't mind if I took notes. So download, install Node, create a MongoDB Atlas account. I'm using MongoDB local. Uh, hmm. Next thing is npm init. Okay, so that's the actual meat and potatoes. Okay, I don't need that. I'm going to open a new command prompt, and I'm going to cd into, what the heck did I call it? Oh, MERN dash stack dash app, I think. Yeah. Okay, good. And then for some reason, and I was too lazy to change this dash stack dash app, it created a separate folder. So create a folder in your C drive, or really anywhere, but for this purpose, we're going to do in your C drive, and then you're going to CD into that. So CD and then type the name of it. And then once you're in there, we're going to hit npm init to initialize a project. We're going to call this student tracker because that's what we're going to do. That's what it's going to do. Oh, I'm sorry. You need oh, you know what? No, I'm just going to leave it that way. Version 1, enter description. You can enter something if you want. Entry points, we're going to call it server.js, excuse me, because that's pretty standard. That's what I prefer to call it. Get repository, sure. Keywords, no. Author, you could put your name. License, you could put MIT, I guess. And is this okay? Yes. And there we go. Now, if you come over to where that folder is, uh, which is, here it is. And then in here, of course, you'll have a package.json file. And let me just open this real quick just to show you what it looks like. I'm going to be using VS Code for this project. I'm just opening it in Atom Text Editor for right now, temporarily. Okay, so um, here's our package.json file. Here's the, let's see, here's the, we don't need this test. I'm going to delete that. We will need scripts, but we'll get to that later. Here's our main entry point, the server.js that we entered. Here's the name of it, the version. There's a repository because um, I created a repository because after every video, I'm going to upload files to this Git repository, which I'll leave a link to in the description. So, and then I'll keep all the old versions so you guys can kind of follow along. The author, the license, URL for the uh, GitHub. Okay, so I won't save it. Forget it. So that's the package.json. Now, I think the only other thing we need to do is install our packages that we're going to be using for the back end. Okay, so right after we just did npm init and went through all this, let's do npm, whoops, npm I or install. I'm going to put just I. We're going to need express JS, which obviously is, in the MERN stack name. It's just express. We're going to need mongoose, and I'll get to what that is in a later video. But basically, it's similar to express in the way that it's an easier way to create connections to your MongoDB database. Although I guess it's just Mongo database. Uh, okay, and that's it. That's all we need for right now. I'm pretty sure that's it. Yeah, I'm not gonna bother installing like the heck is that one? The one where it gives you random. No, forget it. All right, so we need one more package to install. So we're gonna do npm install, and we're gonna do a dash uppercase D nodemon. Now the dash uppercase D is means it's a dev dependency, meaning that when we actually launch this to our when we're going live with it and we build it, when we're deploying it, I should say, nodemon won't be included as a necessary thing, right? So because you don't want that, it's not necessary. It's strictly for us to use in the development environment. So all it does is just watch for any saves and changes to files, and then it relaunches the server automatically. Because normally we'd have to, when we create our server, and you'll see what I'm talking about in the next video. When we create our server, we would create it, and then if we made a change and saved it, we'd have to come here to the terminal and uh, uh, cancel the server and then reopen it. So NodeMon just makes sure that we don't have to do that. It saves it automatically. And you'll see what I'm talking about later on. And that's just installing. Good. Okay. So let's take a look real quick at our files, what we have so far. Okay, now if you remember before, we had package, license, and git. Ignore these two. We had the package. Now we have this folder called node modules, and we have a package.lock file. You don't need to worry about that necessarily. We're not going to be getting into that. But if you go into your node modules, these are all core node things, except, let's see, where is it? Except Express, which is what we installed. Here's our library. This is all the files that create Express, and I'll show you just real quick what they look like. It's all JavaScript. It's just, you know, custom functions and all types of goodies that allow Express to work the way that it does. Um, See, they're even using the use strict thing for JavaScript, and it's, you know, this isn't the only file. This is just an example one that I wanted to show you, but it uses JavaScript, you know, the exports attribute. Let's see. Actually, let's see if we can look at another one. Let's look at middleware. I think it's query. I think it's query. Hmm. I don't know. Yeah, see, we have functions here, you know, all that business, and it's actually using. This is part of Node. When you create a server, you'll see later. Anyway, so that's Express, and then if you keep going down, it's alphabetical order, obviously. And here's our Mongoose. MongoDB comes with Node, but Mongoose makes it just a little bit easier to create it, and you'll see when we get to that point. Um, let's see. Oh, NodeMon, here it is. This is our dev dependency. So, you know, they all have their libraries. It uses its own node modules. So, which is why when you deploy your app, you don't want to include your node modules because it'll take forever. Let's see, what was I just going to do? So we're going to, I forget what I was just going to do. I don't know, I forget. I had an idea. And then I forgot. Oops. Let's see if I can remember everybody. Oh, I know what I was going to do. So let's take a look at our package.json file, and this will be basically the last thing we do. And then the next video, like I said, we're going to jump straight into coding. We're going to create the server. We're going to create the connection to our Mongo database. We're going to create a schema in order to give our database some structure, and you'll see what I'm talking about when we get there. So I'm going to do one video for the back end, and hopefully one or maybe two videos for the front end. Hopefully one, but the front end is actually a little bit more involved. Not more involved, but sometimes it just takes a little longer for some reason. Okay, so this is our new package.json file. You'll notice now we have dependencies down here, which is Express and Mongoose. These are the versions, and our dev dependency is NodeMon. So when you do npm, it adds to your to your uh, to your thing, to your package.json file, so that when somebody else goes to download your project from GitHub, they know all they got to do is npm install, and everything will be installed automatically for them. All these dependencies and dev dependencies and globals and everything else like that. All right, listen, that's it. I just wanted to make a quick video to prove that I was actually doing this course, because I was making a lot of announcements on social media, and so you know. I am, glad to be starting this. Like I said, the next video, once we get all this set up, this is kind of like the initial setup. And like I said, let me reference my notes again. Next is create server and link to MongoDB, and then we'll create the routes. Get all, post, delete. I don't think we'll need a put, which is like sort of like an edit. Create the keys, which is your MongoDB connection string that I showed you in Mongo Atlas. We're going to go over JSON just a little bit more, the syntax of it. Wow, I can't freaking spell here. Then we're going to create our MongoDB schema, and then we're going to test our routes that we created up here with something called Postman, and we'll get into that. And then after that is the front end. Okay? All right, guys. Listen, I appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and I will try to get that next back-end video up ASAP. And in the meantime, if there's any questions, leave a comment. I check every day.